A while ago, I was reflecting on my primary living examination grades, and I was wondering, I had friends who got better grades than me, and who literally sat in the same class. But after a while of analysis, I discovered these 5 hacks that ultimately shot up my grades. In primary, I spent hours and hours consuming study hacks and tips, and I was actually just consuming and not outputting. In the end of it all, I just got confused and I ended up wasting a lot of time. I was jam-packed with so many ways of making my notes, revising for exams, etc., that at the end of it all, I was spending extra hours scrolling in StudyTube, looking for more hacks and watching other people study, thinking that it will make me more accomplished. And at the end of it all, I was sitting there with my report card, questioning my C's and D's like as if they popped out of heaven. Now, I am not stopping you from watching study videos. I'm just telling you to go slow. Watch 1 or 2 study videos, pick 1 or 2 hacks, and apply them for at least a week. And then, once they're embedded into your habits, you can add 1 or 2 more. Do something exceptional. What do I mean? Here's an example of my Mondays in boarding school. I woke up at 5 a.m. and at 5:30 we're all expected to be out of dorm. But once I get out of dorm, instead of heading to class, there is a secret, not so secret place I go to where I first have my breakfast, then my 20 to 30 minute workout, and then I study from 6:30 to 7, which is when the whole school then has to go for breakfast. Since I already had my breakfast, I stay in class from 7 to 8 and do some light revision. Then classes start at 8 to 10. Then we have like a 30-minute break for the second breakfast. Second break. Brunch. Yeah, brunch. I call it brunch, but everyone else calls it the second break. Then we have lessons from 10:30 to 1. Then we have lunch for 1 hour. Then at 2 we resume with lessons up to 4:40. Then at 4:40, instead of going to dorm, of which previously I would go to dorm and have my workout session, but since I do it in the morning now, I stay in class and maybe do some more assignments or light revision, or I walk around school and we have supper at 6. I go for supper at 6, then I come back to class. Then at 7, we have night preps that go up to 9. And I'm in bed by 9:30. So, why am I telling you all this? Honestly, every single person I tell about my routine, like my friends, we're in the same school, we go through the same classes, but when I tell them about what I do in my extra time, they're like, it's too overwhelming, it's too hard, it's too extra, I can't do all that. And honestly, I agree because it is, but at the end of it all, I push through and I am able to go home with good grades, a good physique, and feeling really proud of myself. And if you also want to improve your grades, take advantage of the extra time you have to do something exceptional, something that will improve you in the long run, something that will make you different from other students in your class. In primary 7, I had friends, like girls in the same dormitory as me, who would literally wake up in the middle of the night to study, and honestly, I found that really interesting and unique, but I can't do that. I just can't do that. Because I have the leisure not to, and if you also have the leisure not to, take advantage of the time to rest so that you can be able to actually do something meaningful in your time. But if you can't, then that's life. But anyway, just find something convenient to you, something you can easily do in your free time that can be able to improve your grades. Like maybe listening to a podcast while making dinner or revising your flashcards on your way home. Just make sure to take advantage of those small amounts of time you have throughout the day and be flexible with them. Number 3, have a purpose. You're coming to the table saying, today is the day. I have motivation. I'm gonna read, babe. But then you sit at the table and you're like, what am I gonna do? I mean, you don't even know which subject you're gonna freaking study and you're saying you're gonna study. So instead of being subject to these problems every single time, I would advise you to get somewhere, a notebook, a sticky note, or even taking a note in your phone. Write down the subjects you would wish to study in a specific time, or maybe a topic that confused you in class. Write them down so that the next time you want to study, you can just take a look at them and actually have somewhere to start from. Or after a study session, write down where you stopped or a question you'd like to answer when you return so that you have somewhere to start from. Number 4, stop overwhelming yourself. This can be very easy, especially if you have tons of assignments to complete. And honestly, it is so easy to just procrastinate and decide to do it another time or later. But here's a very easy way to use chunking up your work with the Pomodoro technique. Let's say you have an essay. You could do 4 study sessions. The first one is for the preparations, the second one is for the plan, the third one's for the preparations, and then the fourth one is for polishing it all off. Personally, I find the standard way of 25 minutes of work and 5 minutes of breaks in between very distracting. So I decide to focus on one study session at a time. Once I'm done with a task, I take a break and then I go back for the next one and so on. And the last tip, number 5, make it unavoidable. Stop giving yourself a choice to study. In today's economy, it's getting increasingly difficult to get a job, a stable job that can earn you like good money without education. So, why are you giving yourself a choice? Why are you making education a choice when you have to study? Stop telling yourself, I'm going to finish this assignment today. And you literally have the time and the opportunity and the freedom, and you're making the choice to do something else in that time instead of actually studying. It's literally your fault. Yes. Honestly, the biggest reason as to why some students do not actually excel academically is because they make the wrong choices and expect better from themselves. At the end of it all, they're beating themselves up because they knew they could have done better with their time. And I'm pretty sure for all of those that have read the James Clear book, you know that every action you take is a vote towards the type of person you want to become. Stop being that thing that is stopping you from achieving your goals and manifesting what you want to become. Anywho, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye guys!